Hafaday, and good afternoon to you and to the people of Guam. Today is Wednesday, November 22nd, 2023. This public hearing will be conducted by myself, Senator William A. Parkinson, Chairman of the Committee on Fire, Agriculture, Power, and Energy Utilities, Public Transit, Unemployment Insurance, and Universal Health Insurance. This public hearing is called to order, and the time is 2:04. For the record and to comply with the open government law, notice of this hearing was disseminated to all local media outlets on Tuesday, November 14th, 2023. And the second notice was also shared to all local media on Monday, November 20th, 2023. Notice of this hearing was also posted and available on the Guam Legislature's website and the Government of Guam Public Notice Portal. Bill number 201-37 was introduced on November 8th, 2023, and referred to my committee on November 13th, 2023. The fiscal note request was sent to BBMR on November 13th, 2023, and we received the fiscal note waiver on November 20th, 2023. The committee will hear testimony and discussion on Bill number 201-37 COR, introduced by myself, Senator William A. Parkinson, an act to add a new 8113.15 to Article 1 of Chapter 8, Title 12, Guam Code Annotated, relative to providing maintenance, operation, and overhaul of diesel generators. Rules of conduct for this hearing: when you speak, please make sure that the microphone is on and state your name and title for record-keeping purposes. Panel members are asked to remain in the room for questions or for additional testimony, as may be desired by members of the committee. Questions and testimony shall be confined to the substantive nature of the agenda. Personal infringement as to the character or motive of any senator or any individual testifying is not permitted. Individuals who fail to abide by these rules will be restricted from participating and will be escorted and removed from the room. We will now proceed with testimonies and discussions on Bill number 201-37 COR. I will give my opening statement as the prime sponsor of this bill. The goal of Bill 201 is simple: end load shedding. I don't think it's any secret that we've suddenly had real problems with load shedding recently. Bill 201 resolves procurement protests that have hampered the maintenance, overhaul, and operation of critically needed 76 megawatts of power generation. 40 megawatt GIGO diesels, 24 megawatt Tenjo diesels, 6 megawatt MDI Pulantat diesels, and 6 megawatt Talafofo diesels need to be maintained, overhauled, and operated to stem the need for load shedding. These are nearly 70 smaller generators that provide 1.1 megawatts of power each, but when combined provide 76 megawatts of power, more than any of the island's major baseline generators singularly provide. While 36 megawatts is online today, when fully up and running, this will provide an additional 40 megawatts of critically needed generation to stop load shedding. However, GPA has been stuck in procurement protests with no end in sight. This is preventing this critical power generation from coming online and staying online. Bill 201-37 would clear procurement hurdles in this clear emergency situation. GPA has expressed that they have no confidence that the diesel generator PMC Performance Management Contract appeal will be timely resolved, despite the need for these generators to stop load shedding as our baseline generators go offline for emergency maintenance. Typhoon Mawar also destroyed the nearly complete Ukudu power plant, fuel and water tanks, requiring the complete reconstruction of the tanks and delaying the power plant construction by additional 21 months. Additionally, the 20-megawatt GIGO combustion turbine was damaged by Typhoon Mawar, requiring a $30 million off-island repair to the rotor. Procurement protests and appeals to GPA's 40-megawatt renewable energy with load-shifting batteries and diesel generator performance management contracts further exacerbated the delays. The 2-year, 40-megawatt renewable energy appeal was decided in GPA's favor, but the contractor refused to proceed due to drastically higher projected costs. And of course, we all remember when Cabras 3 and 4 exploded several years ago, depriving us of 2 baseload generators. The foregoing events caused and contributed to the current lack of power generation capacity and the resulting ongoing load shedding. Responsible solutions for temporary power generation and repair of existing diesel generators are needed immediately. And they will continue to be needed until the Ukudu power plant is commissioned in January 2026 to increase power generation capacity and end scheduled island-wide load shedding. To GPA, I know the challenges and problems are deep, and while I always promise to be a partner in problem solving, that must always be accompanied with accountability. If you go out and ask any citizen of Guam, people are losing their cool over load shedding, and rightfully so. We, the residents of Guam, are profoundly frustrated with the ongoing and what we all believe is inexcusable load shedding. This continual interruption of electricity supply is not only a massive inconvenience, but a blatant disregard for the basic needs and rights of consumers. In the beginning, when I first took this chair, I said that the thing that I needed most from GPA, because I understood that the prices would go up with the LEAC and that there would be forces that would be out of control, but at the very least, provide us reliable service. When we were having 1 round of load shedding a night, I stayed quiet. When we were having 2 rounds of load shedding a night, still, I gave you the benefit of the doubt. And even when we had 3 instances of load shedding in a night, I still allowed you to go on and do your jobs. But when we hit that 4th instance of load shedding, I thought it was time to speak up and start looking at what we can do as actionable steps to put an end to this load shedding. I'm not even really angry. Frankly, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that in 20 years of this experiment with the CCU, things feel like they've gotten worse. Ask anybody on the street if they feel like their electricity services have gotten better in the last 10 years. And I don't think the sentiment will be positive. That the way they view our utility grid is a joke. The biggest defenders of the grid just tell us to make a big joke out of it. But I'm not laughing. I know the people of Guam aren't laughing. There's people who are having appliances damaged, medical devices, people who are wondering if they're going to be able to have Thanksgiving together. I'm looking at things like lights in Skinner Plaza, if that's a good idea just because of how much problem we're having with power. I mean, it's really so bad that we're pinching pennies over Christmas lights. GPA's failure to provide a reliable and consistent power supply has severely impacted our daily lives, disrupting business, affecting essential services, and even jeopardizing public safety. Load shedding has now gotten so bad that we are pulling public safety officers to go do road traffic because now lights aren't working at appropriate times. It's spilling into other facets of our life in an alarming pace. It is the responsibility of GPA to invest in and maintain an efficient power grid that meets the demands of its customers. The reoccurring power outages represent a failure to fulfill this fundamental obligation. What's more, it was revealed today that GPA is looking for a rate increase, an average of an additional $33 to $65 a month on power bills at a time when power isn't even reliable. So we have power outage 4 or 5 times a night, pay raises for upper management, rate increases on our power bills, while the general fund has had to subsidize GPA with funds for power credits. I think enough is enough. The people demand accountability and solutions, and Bill 201-37 would expedite the maintenance, overhaul, and operation of generators we already own, adding a much-needed 40 megawatts of critically needed power generation. Lastly, I would like to thank Mrs. Lim Tiaco of GPA as well for drafting this legislation. I would also like to note that the current version of the bill does not have a typographical error. It says now that sub-article F of Article 1 of Procurement Law will be waived. What the bill means to waive is sub-article F in Article 2 of Chapter 5 GCA, and this will be amended in committee. With that, I would like to thank everyone for coming today, and I would look forward to your testimony. So, I guess we could start with Mr. Beneventi. Would you like to go ahead and open up for us here?
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much for the opportunity to testify on Bill 201-37. I apologize for my delay, and I'll go ahead and read this to the record now. Holiday, Chairman Parkinson. Bill 201-37 was introduced by request of GPA to yourself, our Oversight Chair, on November 8, 2023. And we appreciate the opportunity to testify in support. Guam Power Authority appreciates your assistance in overcoming a significant hindrance to its efforts to repair existing units in order to have adequate capacity to mitigate load shedding, which we certainly understand is a significant negative impact in our energy service to our customers. Additionally, I asked the legislature to add GPA's 40 megawatt temporary power bid proposal to Bill 201. This proposal will be before the PUC for a decision at next week's PUC meeting. A protest of the temporary power procurement will also impact reliability, and GPA plans to issue the bid in early December and award a contract in late January with a commissioning date of 100 days after the award. The process has oversight and approval required by both the CCU and PUC, and rest assured we continue to plan this ahead. GPA understands the inconvenience that rotating outages cause our community. But contrary to the perception that we have done nothing, we have been planning to replace our generation system for over 10 years. This past summer, Guam was less than a year away from having a new reliable state-of-the-art 198 megawatt combined cycle plant with high reliability and efficiency, bringing significant benefits and energy cost savings to our community. Unfortunately, Typhoon Mawar impacted the plant completion and delayed commissioning of the new Okadu plant to January 2026. We continue today to negotiate an earlier commissioning date in order to achieve our goal of reliable and affordable energy. Though we have experienced these setbacks, we have apprised the public and the government of Guam of our challenges every step of the way. Included in our testimonies every release from GPA relative to generation issues every step of the way, included in our efforts to mitigate our capacity shortfall after the initial Typhoon Mawar restoration period. Also included in our packet is our presentation to the CCU, which outlines every effort we have made to mitigate load shedding. These PowerPoint presentations have been made during publicly noticed work sessions and have been covered by our local media. Senator Parkinson, we have made a concerted effort to communicate these updates to the public and, of course, you since July, and will continue to keep you updated. And yes, thank you for your patience early on. I've had discussions with you, most especially in the early part of this load shedding, so I appreciate that. That brings us to today. The CCU and PUC have approved a performance management contract for the Jigu 40 megawatt diesel plant over a year ago. Unfortunately, there have been multiple protests requiring multiple attempts at awarding this contract between 2020 and now. To this day, we have not been able to award this contract. We continue to work within our boundaries of the current process, but as we could see, 2 years of delay can only stretch so far, and we need the generation capacity urgently. GPA's Phase 3 renewable solar PV project on military bases was ready for award, but was protested also by an unsuccessful bidder. Though the protest was decided in GPA's favor, both by the OPA and the Superior Court, this was another opportunity lost for 50 megawatts of solar power and over $100 million of savings for ratepayers, which was lost. So that brings us to a total of 80 megawatts of capacity that is not available to mitigate the load shedding we are experiencing today due to procurement delays. And I'm sure, as you mentioned that earlier. I asked the legislature for your support to pass Bill 201-37, which will allow GPA to proceed with our work to mitigate load shedding. This bill addresses our current emergency to get as many diesel units online as quickly as possible, but not without checks and balances. Procurement law is meant to protect how funds are spent on behalf of ratepayers and taxpayers. I understand there will be questions from our senators as to how waiving this safeguard is the best solution. We are in a situation that needs urgent attention for our customers. The companies we do business with are limited in number and highly specialized. The requirement to fix these generators may also require multiple awards across some of the units listed in the bill. We will need the flexibility to match the scope of work required to the properly equipped companies to get more capacity online as soon as possible. And unlike other procurement law waivers, these all need approval through the PUC under a public process with all records maintained as to how we acquired the prices and the scope of services available. The procurement laws as they exist today can cost utility customers millions of dollars and impact their services. As we can see today, despite its intent to protect the public, it can be skewed heavily in favor of vendors instead of in the best interest of the community of ratepayers. GPA is one of the most visible entities with oversight, but not only by this esteemed legislature, but by a governance board and a regulatory board. GPA has the best interests of its ratepayers and the community in mind always, but antiquated laws handcuff it from bringing more reliability and cost savings to all. So in closing, I would just like to note that there is a challenge in procuring the highly specialized equipment and services GPA needs to operate under laws that were built to procure paper, computers, standard vehicles. We hope to have continued discussion on this topic and look forward to your questions and feedback. And thank you very much for introducing Bill 201-37. And I ask the legislature's favorable approval of the bill.
So, just so we're clear for the record, GPA is asking us to amend it so you can add GPA's 40 megawatt temporary power bid proposal to bid 201 and the waiving of the procurement protest.
That's correct. That would allow us to proceed. I can get PUC's approval. If I get PUC's approval next week and then go through the whole process and get stuck again, there's another, as I mentioned in today's CCU meeting, Senator, I'm trying to get most of this capacity on the line by May at the latest of next year. Because beginning in May, June, July, August, September, October are the highest peak months. So there now your load shedding is compounded. And so therefore, I have to make every exerted effort to move forward. Also in my presentation to the CCU today, I have some good news to report and also the process that we've been going through. First of all, Cabros number 2 is on the line today and generating about 30 megawatts. Secondly, PDS number 7 is on the line today and generating about 25 megawatts. So from there, it looks like we're going to have a blessed Thanksgiving, if you will, weekend. And so return to service of the Caterpillar units can increase capacity about 10 megawatts. The Menenguan units by another 5. Repairing the Jigu CT, the 20 megawatts, will be somewhere around February of next year. It's the rotor is already in Texas. They're getting the new wiring to hook it up. And once I get there ready, I may even air freight it over. We've asked the military to see if they can fly it over for us so I can get this thing on the line as soon as possible. The 40 megawatt, of course, I can begin. Right now, we have 3 proponents that have qualified for that bid, Senator, and their prices are all in now. So once I get the go-ahead to go, we can open the prices and then start working with these proponents to immediately begin repair, plus also change out some of those generators. So that will bring us at least 25 megawatt of additional capacity. I'm also working on energy storage to see whether we can shift some of that energy we get in the daytime into the evening. And of course, our interruptible load, major customers here have agreed to, for a rate that we provide them compensation for, get off the line between 6 o'clock and about 11 o'clock at night. The military also provides about 5 megawatts of capacity or interruptible load to assist us. So all of these combinations, of course, has been, didn't seem like it made a significant impact perhaps in the September, October, November timeframe because the demand is the highest during this period of time. But now December, January, and February, the demand comes down naturally from the trade winds that come, and therefore the air conditioning systems don't work as hard, so the demand comes down. So as the demand is coming down and we continue to add more megawatts, then there will be less load shedding. But more importantly, again, we have to be ready by around May of next year so that we don't repeat the past few months in the coming year. So that's why we really need your assistance. We have to start really putting the pedal to the tire and get the machines working, no? And we can get it done. I just need to get by the process that's constraining us today. So again, we thank you very much for introducing this bill on our behalf. No?
Mr. Beneventi, I have committed to bringing accountability to GPA and the CCU, but I also don't believe that in and of itself is enough. I also commit to be a partner to you as well in finding and implementing actionable solutions. So for this 40 megawatts of temporary power bid proposal that you want to add to 201, I'll tell you what I can do for you, because I believe that this proposal for 40 megawatts of power is substantially different from the request for procurement for repairs, that it deserves to be its own bill and to have its own public hearing. But that being said, I will work diligently to get that bill out by the end of today, perhaps tomorrow morning at the latest, and get a public hearing heard for it, or potentially waived on floor on the next session, just so we can get this done quickly. But I do believe it is substantially different enough that it should be another bill. I won't sit on it, I won't sabotage this bill or sandbag it anyway. I will move on it very quickly, but I do believe it should be a separate bill. And if that works for you, I'll be happy to introduce that bill.
Certainly, we can pass it. We can pass a bill for the 40 megawatt also within this year. That would help me, because if the PUC approves the next week the procurement, I will proceed in December to advertise it, so that by January I will get all the proposals in, and that's when the process begins. So making the evaluation, making a decision, and then at that point, that's where protest becomes a bottleneck or a constraint. So if we can push it for this
I do believe that there is some merit to your proposal, and I will absolutely introduce it as its own standalone bill, and we'll go from there. And I look forward to working with you to resolve these issues. Thank you for bringing me actionable solutions that we can work with. Well, floor is kind of open. Who wants to go next? I do. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead and state your name for the record and any organizations you represent.
Yeah. Thank you, Senator William Parkinson, Honorable Senator, and I am hoping that other senators will be here this afternoon, but nonetheless, buenas than half a day. My name is Kenneth P. Chargleff, originally from Inalahan and now reside in Windward Hills, Jolnia. I am writing to express my full support of Bill number 201-37, which aims to authorize the Guam Power Authority, with the approval of the Guam Public Utilities Commission, to waive any procurement requirements and, if necessary, to sole source a vendor for the maintenance, operation, and overhaul of diesel generators. This measure is crucial to addressing the current challenges faced by our island community and ensuring a more stable power supply until the Okudu Power Plant is commissioned in January 2026. As a concerned member of the community, I understand the significance of a reliable and consistent power supply for the well-being and prosperity of our residents and businesses. The intermittent power outages resulting from load shedding have had adverse effects on various aspects of our daily lives and economic activities. Bill number 201-37 provides a pragmatic solution to the immediate problem of load shedding by granting the GPA the flexibility to expedite the procurement process and engage a vendor promptly for the maintenance, operation, and overhaul of diesel generators. This temporary measure is essential to bridge the gap until the Okudu Power Plant becomes operational in 2026. The Okudu Power Plant, once commissioned, is anticipated to significantly enhance the power generation capacity and mitigate the need for load shedding. However, given the current situation, it is imperative to take swift and decisive action to ensure that our island does not continue to experience the disruptions caused by power outages. I commend the foresight of you, Senator William Parkinson, in proposing this bill, which acknowledges the urgency of the situation and provides a practical solution. The waiver of procurement requirements, coupled with the ability to sole source a vendor if necessary, will streamline the process, enabling the Guam Power Authority to swiftly address the maintenance and operations needs of the diesel generators. In conclusion, I urge the members of the committee and all the senators to approve Bill number 201-37 and expedite the proposed measure to the third reading file. That's being ambitious, but I'm very, I'm hoping that that will happen.
We'll make the attempt.
Thank you, sir. By doing so, we can alleviate the burden of load shedding on our island and ensure stable power supply until the Okudu power plant comes online. The measure is vital for the well-being and prosperity of our island, and I trust that the senators will prioritize the interests of the residents and businesses of Guam. Thank you, and I seek the immediate approval of this urgent matter. Jesus Maas, Senator.
Good afternoon, Senator. For the record, my name is Ernest Charlotte. I'm the current mayor of the village of Modesto. I'm here in full support of Bill 201-37, an act to add, I can repeat what you just said, a new subsection 8113.15 to Chapter 8 of Title 12 of the Guam Code Annotated, relative to providing maintenance, operations, and overall diesel generations. Senator, just on your Section 2 of the bill, it speaks for itself, and the preceding findings and intent of the legislature justifies what this action is for. Everybody's hurting. Everybody's enduring. But I believe GPA, and they have the capacity, they have good workers. They're the power experts. They know how much diesel generators, how much generators are needed to provide for the entire village and the entire island. We just need to have the hurdles removed, which is part of the procurement law, government procurement law. You know, the procurement law is twofold in my opinion. It's one is to enhance the use of government to get more bang for the government's bucks. At the same time, provide a level playing field for those who are licensed to do business on the island to compete to provide goods and services to the government. I believe these guys, when you have an emergency, I'll just read your first sentence of your Section 2, and this should cover that. In order to provide immediate relief from the critical power shortage currently existing in 2023, the Guam Power Authority, with all deliberate speed and with consent of the Guam Public Utilities Commission, shall proceed with the procurement for a vendor of vendors to maintain, operate, and overall diesel generators, specifically described as 40 megawatts Jigu diesels, 24 megawatts Tenjo diesels, 6 megawatts MDI Polanta diesels, and 6 megawatts Talavofo diesels. I suppose these are all in locations. Am I correct, Mr. Benavente? And my research, Senator, every megawatt can service up to 750 homes. Am I correct, John? If the 40 megawatts Jigu diesels come online, they can service up to 30,000 homes, if you do the math. If the 24 megawatts Tenzo diesels come on board, they can service up to 1,800 homes, 18,000 homes, I mean. If the 6 megawatts MDI Polanta diesels come on board, it can service 4,500 homes. And the 6 megawatts in Talavofo diesels can do likewise for 4,500. Senator, the people at GPA know what they need. We just need to give them what they need to proceed with this. That's a lot of megawatts, but I don't know the other sides of what their requests are. But Senator, just to correct you, you're asking to waive. And I believe I did the research on the Guam Code Annotated. Under Article 1, which is general provisions, you had mentioned that, the bill had mentioned that the sub-article F. In my research, Senator, there are only 3 sub-articles in sub-articles in Article 1. And that is sub-article A, purposes, construction, and application. Subarticle B, determinations. And subarticle C, definitions used in this chapter. Senator, Article 1, under subarticle A, for purposes, construction, and application, has subsection 5001 all the way to 50013. And all these are, to understand what is being waived, Senator, not all of these subsections relate to the intent to waive. But if I'm permitted, I can go down and then we can sort of check mark which waivers are, attached to this waiver that the bill intends to waive. Subsection 501, purposes, rules of construction. 5002, supplementary general principles of law applicable. Subsection 5003, requirement of good faith. 504, application of this chapter. And 5005, somehow was omitted. 506, construction against implicit repealer. 507, policy against advance payment. 507.1, advance payment for medicine allowed. 508, policy in favor of local procurement. 508.1, policy in favor of native or grown in Guam horticultural products. 502, policy in favor of renewable energy purchase of service. 5008.3, energy efficient products mandate. 5009, effective date. 5010, policy in favor of plant procurement. 5011, policy in favor of service, disabled veteran-owned business. 5012, qualifications of a service disabled veteran-owned business. And 5013, policy in favor of women-owned business. While some of these do not apply, they're all within sub-articles A under Article 1. Sub-article B is determinations, and it's only standing alone as subsection 5020 under determinations. The next sub-article is sub-article C, definitions used in this chapter, and this subsection 5030 is the definition. That is in Article 1, Senator. That is what is going to be waived. So I believe you can check mark which are applicable to this bill. But the crux here, Senator, is to give GPA the ability, like you said, to remove the hurdles. This is an emergency. People are suffering. And, it impacts. Some people are on oxygen. They need power. Try breathing beyond 5 minutes, let alone 1 hour. Another article that the bill intends to waive, Senator, is Article 3. And that is, there's just 5 GCA with Title 5, Chapter 5 under the Guam Procurement Law. Article 3 has to do with source selection and contract formation. Sub-article A is definitions, and sub-article A is just standing alone subsection 5201, which is just the definition. Then you go on to sub-article B of Article 3, methods of source selection. Senator, this one has subsection 5210 all the way to 5220. If I can read, sir, so people can understand what is being waived. 5210 is the methods of source selection. Subsection 5211 is the competitive sealed bidding. 5212 is bid security and performance bond requirements for contractors. 5213 is small purchases. Subsection 5214 is sole source procurement. 5215, emergency procurement. 5216, competitive selection procedures for services specified in subsection 5121 of this chapter. Subsection 5217, procurement from nonprofit organizations, corporations. 5218, procurement of products manufactured from recycled glass. Subsection 5219, unsolicited offers. subsection 5220, publication of IFB and RFB documents on the agency's website. That is on sub-article B, Senator. Sub-article C deals with cancellation of invitations for bids or requests for proposals. Under sub-article C, you have subsection 5225, which deals with cancellation of invitations for bids or requests for proposals. That's the only subsection in that sub-article. And then we go to sub-article D, and you've got subsection 5230, responsibilities of bidders and duties. Subsection 5231, the pre-qualifications of suppliers. 5232, the cost of pricing data. 5233, the disclosure of ownership, financial, and conflicts of interest. Continuing, Senator, under sub-article E of Article 3, the types of contracts. Subsection 5235 is the types of contracts. Subsection 5236 are the approval of accounting system. Subsection 5237 is the multi-year contracts. Then the sub-article F of Article 3 is inspection of plant and audit of records. Subsection 5240 deals with the right to inspect the plant. Subsection 5241, the right to audit records. Then we go on to sub-article G, which is determinations and reports center. The subsection 5245 covers finality of determinations. Subsection 5246, reporting of anti-competitive practices. Subsection 5247, retention of procurement records. 5247.1 is the retention of electronic mail correspondences. Subsection 5248, record of procurement actions taken under subsections 5214 and 52.15 of this chapter. Then you got subsection 5249, the record of procurement actions. 5250, certification of record. 5251, public record. Subsection 5252, rules for procurement records. Subsection 5253, restriction against contractors employing convicted sex offenders from working at Government of Guam venues. Then we go to Article 9, Senator, which is on the bill that's going to be waived. And that is the legal and contractual remedies. Under sub-article A, Senator, is the pre-litigation resolution of controversies. Subsection 5425 of Article 9 under sub-article A is the authority to resolve protested solicitations and awards. 5425, 5426, and 5425.1 is to protest procedure for procurement funded with 2009 American Recovery and Reinvestment Act monies allotted to the Guam Department of Education. Subsection 5426 is the authority to debar or suspend. Subsection 5427 is the authority to resolve contract and breach of contract controversies. That's under sub-article A. And then sub-article B of Article 9, Senator, deals with solicitations of awards in violation of law. Subsection 5450 is the applicability of this article. Subsection 5451 are the remedies prior to an award. Subsection 5452 is the remedies after an award. We go on to sub-article C of Article 9, Senator, is interest. Subsection 5475 is the only subsection there that indicates interest. Then we go on to sub-article D, Senator, and the waiver of sovereign immunity and limitations on actions. Subsection 5480 is the waiver of sovereign immunity in connection with contracts. Subsection 5481 is the time limitations on actions. That's sub-article D, Senator. Sub-article E deals with procurement data. That is subsection 5485 that deals with complaints that procurement data was withheld. That is the end, Senator, of Article 9, on the articles. Then the 12th one that's being waived under the bill, Senator, is Article 12 that deals with procurement appeals. Subsection 5701 deals with rules of procedure. Subsection 5702 deals with decisions of the public auditor. Subsection 5703 is the jurisdiction of the public auditor. Subsection 5704 is the standard of review. Subsection 5705, suspension or disbarment proceedings. Subsection 5706 deals with contract and breach of contract controversies. Subsection 5707, appeals and review of public auditor decisions. Subsection 5708 is the discontinuance of contractor's appeal. Subsection 5709 is the transfer of authority. And Senator, those are all that I went through that are going to be waived according to Section 2 of your bill. Senator, all of these are all things that you guys have to consider. But like I said, that's the starting of your Section 2. It's enough to prompt everybody to take action. Give GPA the ability to move so we can reprieve and relieve our residents of the hardships that we're incurring because of this load shedding. Everybody's suffering, Senator. But most importantly, it impacts the health. Okay? Those that are on life support or they do their own, when they have kidney problems, dialysis, they have home dialysis. If they're going to do it, or the ones that are on oxygen, Senator, it impacts the businesses. It impacts everybody. But let's give GPA. They're the experts in power generation. We can only guess, but they know. We can think, but they know. Senator, I hope that you can convince your colleagues to please, let's give the waiver so they can proceed. And like on your bill says, as I read down all the things that are going to be waived, let me just finish this because Senator, Mr. Benventi, you mentioned this. The bill mentions 40 megawatts in Gigo, so that's equivalent to 30,000 homes. 30,000 homes. I don't know if there's 30,000 homes in Gigo, but I wonder if, no, the 40 megawatts, like I said, based on when I spoke to Google, is that 1 megawatt can service up to 750 homes. So if you do the math, Senator, you multiply 40, 750 times 40, and that'll give you 30,000 homes. That's a lot of homes, Senator. And it takes the load off other generators, and they can take down the generators for maintenance because you have generators that will provide intermittent, while we're waiting for the generator to be repaired and serviced. But it's a lot of generation. Let's remove the hurdle, Senator, and I urge you to convince your colleagues. I was hoping that we can have more senators here to hear testimony. But I guess they have to listen to the recording. Okay? Even in front of me, they probably heard me, let alone listen to the recording. But Senator, I wish that, in some bills that pertain to the lives and health and safety, we have some panels up there. You're standing alone. I hope we can convince your colleagues.
I don't stand alone, sir. I stand with all of you. You guys are here to support, and I appreciate you all.
Yes, and like you said, I hope that they're, without listening to me, they'll approve it. But I was hoping that this other senators would have been here, Senator. And doing the research, the power went off. You think my cell phone still can read the information I needed. But I just did this last night, Senator, and like I said, these are things that we have to discuss because it's part of the bill, that what is going to be waived. So in every title, every sub-article, you just have to check mark what is relevant to this bill. But Senator, I want to thank you for taking the stand to provide immediate relief to our people. And that will conclude my testimony, Senator. Thank you.
You're very welcome, sir. Go ahead, ma'am. Please state your name and any organization you're affiliated with for the record.
Good afternoon, Senator. My name is Marianne Wallace-Chuck, and I'm legal counsel for GPA. I am here in support of the bill and in support of my hardworking colleagues at GPA. I concur with the statement given by our general manager, and I urge the passage of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Would anybody else like to testify? If there is no more testimony, I actually have a few questions. Just so for my colleagues who I know are watching at home, how essential is Bill 201-37 to your plans to stop load shedding?
Extremely essential.
Extremely essential.
Yes, if we
Top
don't,
shelf priority.
if we are going through other processes now to try and resolve this, but again, knowing from experience that it takes forever, and we can win the battle, but at the end, who's going to be suffering? No, the community. So I need to get in there and get these things done. So we have again. If there is an apprehension about whether we're going to do things right, we're not just going to throw everything out that's there. But those in the procurement that constrain us from moving forward, of course, at least we're not constrained again. We hate to come back and say, oh, because of this, we couldn't do it again. See? So again, believe me, we are very structured in our procurement process. As you can see, a lot of it is the protest part of it. However, and so it's not like we're just going to go there and just ignore everything that we, that has been said in law. So,
well, whatever it takes, sir, you let us know what you need, and we will work with the proper urgency to get you the tools you need to get the job done. I will take your testimony to my colleagues and let them know that this is a priority one bill and that we should move with that urgency because this is not going to be solved overnight. So the sooner we get the ball moving, the sooner this nightmare, this dark age ends.
that's correct, Senator.
I think the main question on everyone's heart, and I know you touched on it earlier, but just so for those who are listening, it's loud and clear. Will there be load shedding on Thanksgiving? Will people have to adjust their planning for Thanksgiving?
Right now, again, and of course, I could never, I'm not a very good forecaster of whether we're going to have a typhoon or not, or a big typhoon hit us or so. But right now, in providing confidence to you, Senator, we've done everything we can now to make sure that Thanksgiving and the holidays is not interrupted. So we have more than adequate capacity. So even if we lost another big unit, we're still going to make it. So this is one of the best conditions we are at this point. Everything is basically on the line. No? So we'll keep it on the line and avoid. And if there is going to be a problem, we will tell you right away. Secondly, if issues are going to occur, it's going to be in the evening, as we all know, the peak time. So for those concerned about cooking turkeys or whatever, early morning, all day, fine. You shouldn't have a problem at all.
Okay.
In the evening, right now, the way we have all the equipment up and running, it's very unlikely that you're going to have a power outage over the holiday.
How many megawatts are you anticipating for both the supply and the demand during peak tomorrow?
Tomorrow is a holiday, and so therefore anticipate you'll be down to about 230, 232, something like that.
For the demand?
Yeah.
And what do you figure with the
Friday
supply?
is only a government holiday, so the demand will be around close to 235 to 240. Yeah? But tomorrow, it's a holiday basically for everyone, and therefore the demand does go down. And in addition to that, we have a lot of capacity now on the line.
What would you say the capacity will be for tomorrow and Friday? Just, facts on the ground today.
About 250, 200
Okay.
to 260.
250 to 265?
Yeah, I can add it up and give it to you, Senator. But right, what's our total? Yeah, 253 to 258.
253 to 258.
And the peak time is at 7,
Peak is at 7.
right? Before that, it's usually about close to 10 megawatt lower. See, so 225, 250.
Just so we could have a little history lesson for the record, can you touch on a little bit on the procurement history of this performance management contract? Where is it stuck now, and how would this bill resolve that?
The performance management contract, a little over a year ago, we received approval from both CCU and PUC to proceed. And again, this is similar to our other power plants, the combustion turbines and the Cabras 1 and 2. And we went out for bid. There were 4 bidders. And at the end, there was a bid protest on that. Bid protest because for some, again, for reasons, some are one was real low and maybe didn't consider this and that, and so again, the protest occurred. After that, we have to go out for a rebid because again, we know going through the protest process, we're dead in the water, if you will. Going to the we changed the specs and eliminated the need for them to include in their bid the purchase of or the replacement of machines, more just the operation, maintenance of the existing machine and repairing them. This process went through in the beginning of the year, this year. And in May, we had the 4 bidders come in with their technical and price proposal. And later on, after we settled down with Mawar, we began the process to advise the bidders who was qualified to proceed from the technical to the price proposal. At that point, we had 2 bidders who had not qualified. One was qualified based on again, in the best interest of the government scenario. And the second one, unfortunately, wasn't deemed qualified in terms of that. And then a protest again occurred. No? So here we are, where we have 3 bidders that are already qualified, deemed qualified, and have their price proposal before us. So our first task will be to proceed and open those bids and start talking, making sure that they do fully understand what we needed and work with them from there. So again, we don't have to the bidding process or anything doesn't have to restart. We're there already, where we have proponents that can do the job. No?
Thank you, sir. Switching gears a little bit, what are the primary factors that you would say led to the current situation of load shedding?
Well, as mentioned earlier, we lost the Jigu CT, that's 20 megawatts. No? Secondly, of course, Cabras has been limping in for us, so they had some issues after the storm, and even Cabras number 2, boiler tube leaks. We're hoping that that's resolved, and we're going to try and do something later on in the year to make that better. Third, we've been trying to get this PMC awarded. I mean, May was when we were ready to open the bid. If we had that awarded, we would have these machines being taken care of. And so the other scenario is that we were only April to the summer of next year, we would have had the capacity. The combined cycle power plant up in Ukudu would have had the combustion turbines running. Even though the whole system is not running, we would have 43, 45 megawatt machines that already could be tied into the grid. And so we were counting on that to make that happen. And so as much as the going back all the way to the 2015 explosion of Cabas 3 and 4, we lost 80 megawatts, 79 megawatts, and what did we replace it with? 40 megawatts. So we lost 40 megawatts of our reserve. But the decision had to be made whether what are we going to do with the Cabas 1 and 2 and PD 8 and 9? How are we going to comply with US EPA regulation? If you recall going back that far, we were talking about the penalties from US EPA could be hundreds of millions of dollars. And therefore, the decision was made that the best thing to do is instead of putting a lot of good money into old machines, we put good money into really efficient machines, which we did. The new combined cycle power plant on Okudu is a state-of-the-art, very efficient, and like we said, it's gonna reduce the import of oil by about 500 to 600,000 barrels a year. At $100 a barrel, that's $50 to $60 million just of money that will stay here. So again, everything is leading up with the power plants being constructed, and of course we had to go through a whole process, including the bidding process, the approval process, even through regulatory process to make this happen. And before that, what happened also? COVID hit us. So that delayed the construction of the plant because it was supposed to be done by October 2022. But COVID hit us, therefore delayed the completion of the combined cycle. Air permitting issues, the pathway that the contractor was taking, that caused delays in our process. So we had to amend the consent decree to allow for an April 2024 completion, and we were heading in that direction, maybe a little beyond that, but we were heading to next year. But now, again, like I said, we all know we're pushed to January 2026, although I am working to try and reduce that date because we are losing money. It's costing us more fuel costs for every month that's delayed. So a lot of factors have come in. The key here really is how do we get out of this? And from day one, I noted that we can get all of this. It's going to take a period of about 6 to 9 months. And I've also mentioned since day one that we're in the peak time of the period with low capacity, so we're vulnerable. But now we're moving out of that period, and that should get better. But I still need help to get, otherwise, next year, we will have more issues, no?
Okay, so I guess that was my next question is, if I wave my magical chairman gavel and I'm able to get you all the legislation you need, how many months are we going to be living with this load shedding under best case scenario?
Again, you're looking, like I always mention, 6 to 9 months, which is around May, no?
So 6 to 9 months.
Right, but I like to say we've been through the worst of it because, like I said, high demand and least capacity. But we have been improving our capacity. As we get more repaired, the more capacity with the lower demand means less vulnerability to load shedding. The next critical date is around the May timeframe. That's when the demand now starts going up to 240 to 250, and maybe more. And that's when we have to be ready, because again, it's not just about now, it's about next year and the year after that's critical for us. 2026, but by the end of 2025, Okudu should be on the line, and that will help us eliminate the load shedding, no? But again, between now and, you still have 2024 and 2025 to deal with. So that's my major concern. And if we get into that period, you're going to be feeling what we just felt going backwards. Moving forwards, we're going to be better.
Well, I tell you what I'll do, sir. I will do my best to move political mountains for you and get you the legislation you need. But I also want you to do your best to live up to that timetable of ending this load shedding in 6 to 9 months. That is a god-awful long time. But if that's the best case scenario, and that's the best case scenario, let's do it. I will do what I can to keep us on that schedule as best we can. But do your best to deliver on that, please.
You have my word on that, Senator. I always do my best, and I will continue to do my best to get us out of this. No?
I think a big part of the frustration here has been in the communication. I mean, especially in that evening where we had that instance of 4 load sheddings, because some of those load sheddings was outside of peak hours. There was a covenant between GPA and the community when you put out your Energy Saver plan that if the people of Guam did their part during peak hours, we would be able to stop load shedding. And for the most part, the people of Guam have done their best to try to live up to that. So I can imagine their frustration when they're having their power go out unscheduled at times outside of peak hours. Yeah. So in the future, I would tighten up your processes in terms of getting the message out when things like that go down, because the people of Guam are a resilient people. But come straight with us. Come straight and come correct, and we'll do our best to work with you. Because the way it's been communicated, I think, has led to a lot of the frustration, and the people of Guam don't deserve that.
Yeah. On that day, Senator, we lost 2.5 base load at peak time. So we're kind of, what could we do at that point? No? But again, we will look again and see how we can inform our customers better, but that's a scenario that was extremely difficult to get out at that time of the night. No, but other than that, we've given you a lot of our press releases, and we've been diligent in trying to keeping the public informed. And of course, we'll look as to how we can do better to do that. But believe me, a lot of effort, our effort has been also in communicating to the public. So again, I ask the public for their patience as we move forward. We appreciate the assistance. I just don't want to be, if you will, dead in the water like it is. I am dead in the, almost dead in the water with the issue of the JIGO PMC, because we are still trying other avenues. We are at the OPA, going through the process, trying to get through this, but I don't see those as solutions that will get us to where we need to as soon as we can. No?
Has GPA done any assessments regarding the impact of load shedding on businesses, essential services, and the general public? How are these impacts being addressed in the short and the long term? And I mean, I guess in the short term is, what kind of support and services are there for people who are looking to file claims for destroyed appliances?
Right now, Senator, we do have, since 2001, a damage claim policy and an application for damage claim. So that process is, again, we'll go ahead and communicate that through a press release to the public to remind them that, yes, they can file for damage claim. To give you the magnitude of damage claims that we have received, just say, for example, the last 5 years, you're talking about 100, about 20 per year. Since Typhoon Mawar, we're talking about, no, actually since August 2022 to November 25 1st, which is yesterday, we had about 80, about 80, what you call applications. So again, there is not a significant number that is coming in, and it's available, and we will help the customers. We have our customer service representatives. We do it online, we email, we help them. So they're available to help them with the process of damage claim. But again, it's not a, we have to do our due diligence when they come in and say, this is what happened, and so on. So we have a team that makes that analysis to make sure that GPA's due diligence is done. But again, damage claim has been there. I do want to clarify something, Senator. I know something about 11 million is floating out there. I'm not sure where that came from, but let me just say that the only thing I can relate to is that GPA does have the self-insurance fund, which is about a little more over 11 million now, but that's not a budget for damage claim. As you can see, damage claim is less than 20,000 per year on a normal basis, and even now, I venture to say in the past year and a half, you're talking about 100,000 that claim dollars that are claimed. So, it's the process is there. We'll go out again and issue ask those that have an issue with this to go ahead and call us and let us work with them. No? I understand your concern about the damage claim, but it is there, and we'll work with the customers.
Yeah, I caught that during this morning's CCU meeting. I saw that Commissioner Sanchez and yourself asked where I got the figure for $11 million set aside for damage claims. I'd like to play a clip for you this morning of GPA testifying that they have in fact budgeted this money for damage claims. AV, if you would please play the video. I guess my question is, how often do you compensate people under this section of the law?
I don't have the total number. We can provide that to you, Mr. Chair, but we do, this is what we do have. In fact, it's on the website where people can file for damage claims, no?
Yeah.
And when the damage claim come in, we have a team that reviews it, reviews the record and all that, and do make compensation pay based on that. Now, of course, when you come in with a 19-year-old air conditioner, and so there's proration, there's other things that occur, and in fact, we have to. There has to be a indication that yes, we were at fault.
Yeah, there's a process for it. Yeah. How many requests for compensation are submitted every year pursuant to this law?
James, do you know how many?
Yeah, Chairman, this is James Borja. I'm a Utility Services Administrator for Customer Service. I can provide those numbers for you to count for the last couple of years. But generally, every month we receive a handful, maybe several at the most. But of course, it goes before the committee, which includes engineers, our Power System Control Center. And then from there, we evaluate if indeed it was due to the electricity provided that may have caused the damage.
How much money has GPA set aside each year to comply with this law?
Currently at 11 million.
Okay. And that's and is that typically what you would pay out on average, or is that just what you set aside?
No, it's just budgeted, but no, that's not what we pay out.
Okay. And I would like to get that number on what you guys pay out on the yearly, just for reference, whenever you guys can get that accumulated.
Sure.
And I guess my question is, how often do you compensate people under this section of the law? So that's where we got the number for 11 million from your own testimony, just to clear up any confusion.
Thank you, and we'll take a look at that. I think what they may be stating there is that we have self-insurance fund for about 11 million. That's the only place I could find $11 million number. But again, our apologies for the confusion if that, that being the case, but at least it's clarified. But it is, damage claim, as you can see, is 20,000 to maybe in this case 100,000 over this year.
Yeah, if
So
you could
that's
do me a
something
favor,
that
if you
we
could
had
please
to-
send that
Yeah.
clip to Commissioner Sanchez so he does, so it's cleared up where I got the $11 million figure from.
Okay, we will do that. and we'll
All
we'll
right.
discuss it.
And to my understanding, the damage claim committee meets once a month, and then they decide which claims are valid. Then they send an inspector to inspect the damaged appliances. Do I have that process correct so far?
By the claim being valid, it's not just a validity, but whether or not the application is complete, which also does include some paperwork. So
Okay.
documentation.
And this committee, is it true that they meet once a month?
I believe that there is a standing monthly meeting, but they do meet sooner and more often depending on how many claims are received. So if there's a lot of claims following an event, the committee will meet not just once a month, but continue their meeting until they complete the review of the complete claims.
Okay, that seems a little inefficient. Why not just have the claims be filed, go to one department, and that department takes care of it ASAP?
So involved in the damage claim is also inspections and review. And so we do have members of various divisions, so safety, engineering, finance, customer service, so that the whole of the committee can review these and be fair.
Okay, because you know, there's a 90-day statute of limitations on this provision, so it just seems inefficient to me that the people of Guam should have to wait a minimum of a whole month just to hear any feedback on their claim. That's a very unresponsive system. You would agree?
Senator, we'll review our procedure, and we'll make improvements and changes to it. So we'll make sure to put that on our to-do list.
How many inspectors do you have doing damage claims?
The inspectors doing damage claims can vary from safety to engineers, depending on what type of expertise is needed to
Okay,
go out
ballpark
and
me.
actually review. It's not a limited number. It's the
Less than 5? More than 2?
that. Well, I'm not trying not to answer your question. It's just that we could also ask any of the engineers, for instances, or any of the safety inspectors. So it's not necessarily limited.
Okay, so say the most amount of inspectors are involved in one case. How many is that?
In one case.
Yeah, so how many inspectors have you had all together at once?
For any claim, you could have as many as 2 inspectors go out at the same time to look at it based on their expertise. And then you could have various people go out to inspect various claims all in a month. And it
Okay,
could
so
just
you would
be
need
one.
about 2 inspectors. How many pairs of inspectors do you have?
Let me go back. Their titles are not inspectors, so their titles and their expertise would be based on their job responsibilities. So again, you could have certain engineers go out if it is if that is the expertise needed. It could be a safety inspector go out. It could be somebody who has expertise in AC. So there is not a magic number, and I know that that's what you'd like me to say, but there is no magic number. It depends on
I'm
the
just trying to
expertise.
understand what labor force, what kind of labor force you have dedicated to this paying out of claims.
We have the engineering division, the safety division, customer service division, and then in the office we have our accounting division and also support. So we have several dozens of people who could be.
So there's no
involved in this.
centralized department handling all these
We
claims.
do
It's
have
all-
leads. The 2 leading departments for this is customer service and safety.
Okay, how many people are running this in customer safety or customer
In
service?
customer service, we have about 30 to 40 people, and safety, there's under 10.
Under 10. So roughly around 40 people in between those 2 departments.
With a handful of claims every month, correct?
And
But-
okay, and
but
so there's just a
Senator-
handful of claims that.
There is, sir.
Because I would think that the number of people filing claims are going to go up significantly, and I myself, I'm going to be going around doing town halls, helping people sign up and to.
We would be really happy if we could help you with that. We could have customer service reps on hand to help customers with those claims
They could
at your
go out
town
with you,
meetings.
Senator.
What percentage of claims would you say get approved from those claimed?
I don't have that right now, but we will
So
get
like
back
say
to you.
100 people make a claim.
Yeah.
What percentage of those get approved?
But let me also stress, I think in the law regulation, typhoon damages are not, are what they call a force majeure type scenario. Just like the weatherhead. It's a force, they have to repair their weatherhead, the cost is to theirs, no? So again, if depending on the type of damage, what occurred, that's what our inspectors will do. And I think like what Trish is saying, really, because we've had 20, on average about 20 a year in claims, there's no set inspector for just this particular, but the customer service that leads the team pulls from the various sections as necessary.
Okay, I understand
And so,
but
yeah.
my question right now is what percentage of claims get approved?
Yeah, we are gathering information for you per your email request, which you sent yesterday, and we'll get that, and that answer will be provided then. The percentage of claims, you said paid out and denied?
What about load shedding? Is load shedding a valid claim for a valid reason for why something gets destroyed? If somebody says load shedding destroyed my aircon,
well,
would
again,
would that be a valid reason to place on the claim?
we will have to go out and take a look. We will have to confirm that, you know, when, the time, all of those different things. We'll take a look at it. And again,
Okay, so just to
load
be,
shedding,
so just to be clear, it is a valid reason for the claim pending inspection by your
pending
people confirming.
inspection and certification that, yeah, because again, let's take it by case basis. We will work
Yeah, I understand that, but just as a general broad concept, load shedding is a valid reason to file a claim if your property is destroyed, and it could be certified and corroborated by your inspectors.
But there are other, what you call it, telltales to determine whether, if your air conditioner is already 20 years old, no? It's way past the life. Load shedding is really a turning on and turning off of the energy.
Yeah.
If we have an issue where, actually the worst condition that could hurt.
Yeah, I understand that. Someone might have a 20-year-old aircon and it won't be claimed.
So the worst condition that could hurt a customer, no, is when a line goes down. Line goes down, it causes surge to the system. So that's, you know, that's a valid claim. That's what we would go through and confirm that and actually take care of that. But turning on and off the power is like, you know, it's not, again, we have a battery that controls the voltages in the system. So therefore, it's really like turning on and almost like turning on and off your lights, no? Of course, this has been quite often, so therefore, that could have some impact on it. So we have to take a look at it on a case by case, and we will be reasonable with, especially in this scenario.
Thank you, sir. As you saw from the video, you have testified on record that there is money. So I will ask again, once more for the record, how much money has GPA set aside for damage claims?
GPA will check the record how much customer service has set aside for it, but GPA covers also damage claim, which historically and continues to be quite low. Like I said, about 20,000 average per year prior to malware, and between malware and now, you're probably looking at total of somewhere another 50,000. No? So that's, you know, that's well covered within our overall budget in the system, like on GPA.
But
so
as a top end, what have you set aside?
No,
you're like that may be what the actual usage is, but in your budget, what do you set aside for damages? Is it 11 million? Is
We
that the
will,
correct
we
number?
will, we will pay
Is it
whatever.
less than that? Is it
No,
more than
11
that?
million is nowhere what we, from what my understanding. I think there's some misconfusion of what the question may have been there. But 11 million is nowhere. We don't set aside. We do have 11.
So you do not set aside any money for filing
We don't
for this
set
provision?
aside a particular number. Whatever it is that it takes to pay the customers, that comes out of the overall customer service.
So
budget.
just to be clear, if 50 million, just hypothetical, if $50 million worth of damages were done because of load shedding, that could be potentially what GPA pays out.
I think
It's
we have
whatever
to,
it needs to
no,
be,
I
right?
think there's some limitations on the government of what you can pay out for one, and secondly, that's really unrealistic. $50 million.
I know. I'm just trying to understand the mechanisms of how GPA pays these out.
Customer
it's just a
service,
blank check, basically. Is
Customer
that what I'm
service is a
understanding?
budget, and then we will have, if we have to transfer from other areas to cover what is necessary to pay out, that's what we do. But as far as 11 million for just damage claim, we don't budget that way, Senator. What we do have is, again, resources here and there, and like I said, when
you
talk
don't have
about,
a set budget, you just pay out whatever pops up.
That's correct. And we
So
have
if
to
$11
transfer.
million of damage claims was filed, you would just pay $11 million.
No, realistically, Senator, that's something we have to talk more about, no? If there's $11 billion claim, of course we're going to have to find some way. If there is a legal claim that we are deemed to have to pay, we'll have to figure out something. But that's not, we don't have 11 million laying around. And of course, it's really,
So how much do you have laying around?
It's really unrealistic to even think that we will have $11 million in damage claim, no? And again, air conditioners, let me give you a case in point. We, GPA, have been giving out rebates for air conditioners. And I hope almost everybody on the island has changed their air conditioners to energy efficient one, because we've been paying out $200 or more to customers that change to air conditioners. So most of these air conditioners that are coming in now are efficient, no? Now, if they can last an on and off of a load shedding, then something is seriously wrong with that type of equipment, under my professional opinion, no? So I know this is not like the fires that occur in San Francisco, the fire that occur in Maui. No, this is not that big of an issue for us. No, this is something we would address the damage claim, but I venture to say it's certainly a lot. Around $100,000, probably, as we look at it. No, that's what I can see, and from what I can tell with the system out.
Well, let me tell you what I could see is that there needs to be better transparency in the claims process and better outreach, because I will tell you what the general feeling among the people is they believe that GPA does not pay out claims. They believe that they will find anything to deny claims. So we will examine the process to make sure the people who file claims are treated fairly.
Okay, that's fair enough.
I think we're kind of coming to the end of it. Is there anybody else who has come in that would like to testify? The floor is open. All right. So with that, if there are no further questions or comments, this concludes our discussions on Bill number 201-37. I just want to say that the people of Guam badly need us to get our act together. And while Sometimes it might feel that I come down hard on accountability. On the other hand, I will also offer cooperation in finding solutions. So you tell me what you need, and I will move political mountains for you to make sure we keep the lights on. The Committee on Fire, Agriculture, Power and Energy Utilities, Public Transit, Unemployment Insurance, and Universal Health Insurance will continue to accept written testimony on today's hearing within 5 business days from today, which would be mailed to my office at 238 Archbishop Flores Street, Suite 905 of the DNA Building in Hagåtña. You may also send your written testimony to my office via email, senatorparkinson@guamlegislature.org. Thank you all for your participation. This public hearing is adjourned, and the time is now 3:34.